Sanjeevji, what is ahimsa and why is it important?
Ali, Ahin Sah is one of the most important steps in our spiritual progress. Ahin Sah literally means non-injury, non-violence. Why is it important? Because most of us are living in an animal behavior, which we call the Pashu Bhav. We have not even risen up to the Manushya Bhav, means a human, level. And what does animal do? It is fight or flight. Means that if I am stronger, I'm going to stand and fight. If I am weaker, I'll run away. It's basically overpowering others, making them smaller, making myself bigger. But ahimsa means rising from this animalistic behavior and coming up to human behavior, which is about raising my consciousness. Say, for example, I'll give you an example that we use very commonly. Say, Ali, if I drew a line, right? And I say, Ali, without touching it, without cutting it, without erasing it, make it smaller. Can you make it smaller?
First thing I'll think about is rubbing something.
No, without touching it.
Yeah.
But you can. Draw another line bigger above it.
Yeah.
This one becomes smaller already. This is what we do. We are not touching anybody else. We are focusing on ourselves. With the Hinsa, I am focusing on my own sadhana, my own progress, and becoming more powerful, yet not using that power to harm anybody. So, and this helps in so many ways. Because if I am not judging anybody, I am not trying to power anybody, overpower anybody, that means my 100% focus is on myself. And that also helps me to stay in a human level, not an animalistic level. Because we know animals, their focus, their life is surrounded around three things: food, shelter, and sex. That's all they know. But there is a level above that. Because animal, if you try to take something from an animal, food, or go to their den or their home, they will fight and protect it. But when you rise above it, you become human, you like to share. Even if I have a little bit food, somebody comes to my house, I would love to share it. I would love to offer my house for shelter to anybody. So this is sharing, compassion, love. And this is what we call, instead of fighting and overpowering, we offer unconditional love to people. And that is why ahimsa gets us to that level. So if we slowly start practicing ahimsa in our life, we will do amazingly well.
And so another big question for you, Sanjeevji, and this is one of the key things that we need to do in a spiritual path. You taught me this very early. What is the significance of detachment in our path, on our path?
Again, very good question. I mean, this is also a term which is more misunderstood, led to so many wrong actions, misdirected actions by people in a spiritual path. People think that detachment means that I am not attached to anything now. I leave my family, I will leave my house, I leave my job, and then I go live on a mountain or in a forest or in an ashram and lead my life there. That's not detachment. That's running away from your responsibilities. The first step in detachment is being non-judgmental. So, say in a family, there are all kinds of people. Some people are happy, some people are angry, some people are, upset. But everybody has come to fulfill their soul agenda.
Right.
If I practice non-judgmental behavior towards everybody around me, that is detachment. Because my attachment comes to everybody because I'm judging them. I'm creating a connection with everybody. You're good, you're bad, you're angry all the time. You're not giving me enough time, or whatever you say. So the best way to do is have a sense of non-judgmental behavior. Because if I'm not judging anybody, I'm respecting, I'm offering my unconditional love to you.
Right.
And I respect that you have come to fulfill your own soul agenda. My focus should remain on my soul agenda. My soul agenda is a part of my soul agenda is to be non-judgmental and to give unconditional love to people around me.
Mm-hmm.
I know it may sound kind of, to some people say, oh, how can you do this? But this is not doing anybody a favor. You're doing yourself a favor by following these principles. Because if I'm more and more attached in this world, more I'm trapped. How can there be a growth? How can my consciousness rise if it is attached to so many things? So by practicing being non-judgmental is the first step towards detachment. So do not assume that detachment is running away from your responsibility. No, stay in this world, fulfill your responsibilities, enjoy the time with the family. And if somebody is different, don't judge that person. Be in a state of mind that I accept everybody the way they are and offer them unconditional love. And that is so very important.
So, like, how would we know if we're being objective about somebody, if we're analyzing a situation, and how to draw the line between being objective or subjective, where you're criticizing somebody now?
So there is no line at all. Because again, even whether I'm being objective or subjective, is that my attention is focused on their actions, somebody else's actions, rather than my own actions.
Right.
So as I said, we have to follow our own soul agenda.
Mm-hmm.
I have no time or the need to analyze anybody's actions. So I don't need to be objective, subjective, or any which way. I just accept the way they are.
Sanjeevji, what is asteya, and why is it that we should practice this?
You're asking very good questions today, Ali. Asteya is a very, very strong principle that we must follow. Asteya means that anything that doesn't belong to me, I will not even cast an eye on it. Anything, say, for example, people are always running after, my neighbor has got this, a bigger car. Or I'll take this from this, that person has, I want to take it away from him.
Mm-hmm.
And that is not asteya. That is, again, a lot of these things are related to our behavior, state of mind, animalistic behavior or human behavior. Once again, this is an animalistic behavior. I'm stronger than you, I'll snatch from you.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take away from you. Or why does he have? Why is his car bigger than mine? Why is that person's house is bigger than mine? Why does my brother go on a much better vacation than I do? Because we are thinking that there is only limited available. If I don't take from around me, I will be left poor. But Brhamanda Yoga teaches us that there is ample available in the universe.
Yeah.
Asteya means that whatever I want, I should have the ability to tap it from the universe, to create, manifest what I want. Again, this is becoming a human to be at least rising above the animal behavior of dominating others, snatching away from others. It is understanding that I define first what I want in my life. Then I follow the principles of Brhamanda Yoga. Then I do sadhana. And then I enter that higher state of consciousness, as we touched before, the state of Turiya.
Right.
And in that state of Turiya, we bring in our goals and what our needs are. And we manifest from the universe, because universe has unlimited stuff to give to us. So Brahman Yoga teaches us to connect there, not to the world around you. So we live in this world. But you have to understand that although we do live in this world, we do not belong here. I'll give you an example. You know a whale, right?
Yeah.
Where does it live?
The ocean.
The ocean. But do you know that whale is a mammal? It's not a fish. And mammals don't live in the water. How whale fell into the water, found a life there, we don't know. But the reality is that the whale lives in the ocean.
Yeah.
But it understands that it cannot breathe inside the water like a fish. So it goes around, takes care of his necessary stuff, of his responsibilities, but at time to time, it comes to the surface, takes a deep breath, and then goes back again. It knows that it does not belong to this dimension of water. It knows that it belongs to another dimension. And every now and then, it comes to connect to that dimension. And when it does, it stays healthy. But tomorrow, a whale says that I don't have the time to go up and take a breath. He'll fall sick, perhaps die. Same thing with us. We live in this world, but we don't belong to this dimension. We belong to a higher dimension. And every now and then, we say every day in your sadhana, you connect to that dimension that you belong to, manifest what you want, and then go back and live in the world. So practicing asteya is a really significant part of Brhamanda Yoga.
So this next question I have for you, Sanjeevji. My mom would often say, I got nazar utarna padega iska. I have to take out the evil eye from this boy because you look too good today, or something like this. So my question is about evil eyes. What is an evil eye really? I've always wondered. And what is a psychic attack really?
They're both similar in nature. And first of all, let us be very clear about who's doing this to us. People think that it is done by our enemies, it's done by people who don't like, or some black magic, or tantrics, or this and that. But that's not the reality. If we really look at the data, 2% of any psychic attacks or evil eye would be done by these people. 98% is done by your own people. Unknowingly.
Right.
Like, I'll give you an example. A mother says, I'm always worried about my son. He goes out, he's not wearing a sweater, he's going to catch a cold. And he's going to do this, or he'll fall sick, or get into an accident. He doesn't drive safe, he doesn't do that. I'm always worried. This is a psychic attack. This is an evil eye. You are going to manifest for your child, that mother, which may not be even the destiny. And you're going to create disastrous events for your children. And similarly, like even your well-wishers, your loved ones, they are doing the same. Oh, you're not worried about it. I'm worried that if you don't do this, you will get sick, or you will kind of lose your job, or you will do this. Always, always worried. And this leads to a psychic attack. It was done unknowingly by the people who love you, care for you, but they're not doing you a favor. And sometimes even when you tell those people, don't do this, they don't listen because they think this is their way of showing their care.
Right.
So they are the ones manifesting bad things in your life. Right? So what do we do about it? Right?
Yeah.
Because anything that needs to go back and forth has to have a pathway.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So now, if a psychic attack has to come to you, or an evil eye has to come to you, there should be a pathway.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But if you disconnect that pathway from your end, now no matter what the person says or does, it's not going to reach you. And how do we disconnect? Because we are also thinking about the same person all the time
Mm-hmm.
and what they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
So disconnect from that. Ignore that. Once again, we say that focus on your own self. Bring the focus back on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
The moment you disconnect the pathway, there is no way the psychic attack or evil eye is going to work on you. But it's unfortunate that it's done by people who care for you.
Unconsciously.
Yeah. So be very careful. Don't blame them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Forgive them.
Yeah.
Say unconditional love. But also make sure you don't create that psychic pathway with those people, even if they're close to you.
Now, some people might actually, a lot of people are probably going to relate to this.
Yeah.
What if they start feeling resentful? What do you recommend to those people?
How are they going to feel resentful? They will not even know.
Right.
Say you have left home. There's some family member who's always worried about it.
Yeah.
Say even your mother,
Yeah.
she's thinking good about you, but then she's worried.
Mm-hmm.
When you're out, focus on what you're doing outside.
Yeah.
Don't think about her. Don't think about what she was telling you
Yeah.
about her fears.
Exactly.
How would she be resentful? You still love her. When you come home, you still talk to her. You spend the same time with her. But don't create that psychic pathway.
So so that makes sense. But what I meant was like resentful in the sense that what if somebody comes to realize that, oh, my mother has done this for so long.
Oh.
So she might be the cause of all my problems. Now I resent her.
So this is again coming from ignorance.
Right.
Brhamanda Yoga is wisdom. This is the difference that coming from the darkness into the light. Because once you understand that this is not her intention.
Mm-hmm.
So when you are in ignorance, you may have resentment. But once you are coming into the light, into the wisdom, into Brhamanda Yoga,
Mm-hmm.
then the biggest part is forgiveness
Yeah.
and compassion and unconditional love.
Yeah.
Because that could be the part of her soul agenda.
Right. Yeah.
But you focus on your soul agenda.
Okay. That's clear enough. Yeah. How does sadhana or meditation heal the past or the future or future?
So, let's first understand what happens when we do sadhana. Right? When we do sadhana, it is about being in the moment, in the present, always.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You are not living in the past, you're not living in the future. Sadhana is being in the present, one of the most important things.
Mm-hmm.
And now, Once you are in the moment, in the present, in a higher state of consciousness in sadhana, you have the ability to bring your past and the events of the past into the present. And once you bring them into the present, you have the ability now, which will be given to you by your gurus and your teachers in Brhamanda Yoga, that you'll be able to heal the past, release those negative events. And once you bring them in the present and you release the negativities of the past, it is automatically gonna improve your present and your future. And then also, as we say, what do you want in this life? Be very clear, setting your goals, and that is the future. So you bring your goals also in the present in your sadhana, and once you give Shakti to it, you start manifesting. So both these things, bringing the past and the future into the moment, into the present, removing the negativities, the negative events of the past, will strengthen what you want, and you'll be able to manifest what you want in your future. So that is why sadhana can heal your past and your future by being in the present and by being in the moment.
Sanjeevji, what is the significance of forgiveness? We practice it a lot, but why is it so important?
So, our opposite of forgiveness, you first understand, is non-forgiveness. Means that I hold grudges with so many people in my life, right?
Yeah.
That he did this to me, she did that to me. Why did it do that? Why did it happen to me? He stole my money, he stole my this, he took my job. These are grudges. And this keeps me attached like powerful chains to all those people.
Yeah.
And by not forgiving them, I am doing myself a big disfavor. That I am tying myself so strongly to my current position that there can be no evolution possible for me. I cannot rise, my consciousness cannot rise. But there is something even more important than this. Before we go and talk about the others, the most important thing is we have not forgiven ourselves.
Right.
That we know deep inside us what all we have done in our lives. And we carry that guilt. We have not forgiven ourselves in so many instances. And that is an even bigger binding force for us, tying us, preventing us from evolving, preventing us from growing. So we must practice forgiveness for ourselves first. It comes from the fact that I held a grudge for myself. I felt guilty when I did not have the wisdom. But today, there is light shining. There is wisdom of Brhamanda Yog. That I can tell myself that all that I did in the past was an ignorance. And I have to let it go. And there is only one way of letting it go, and that is through forgiving myself and offering myself unconditional love. Once I have done that, I'll be more successful in now forgiving others. And I do the same thing, same process with others, one by one. The people that I hold grudges against, that they were not doing anything wrong to me. It was my own karma coming back to me, and those people were just the mediums. And now I am holding a grudge against the mediums, whereas the real culprit is my own karma. Once I have this wisdom, it'd be easy to forgive others. that I was the cause and I was the effect. And these people just came in. They created bad karma for themselves, for sure. But again, that is their life, their agenda. Why am I getting caught in this whole process? Once I have this wisdom that I am the creator of my own destiny, that if something is happening to me today, I am the cause for it, then there is no question of holding a grudge against anybody. It'll be so easy to forgive everybody. Once you forgive everybody, it is again very essential to offer unconditional love. First, I forgive myself and I love myself unconditionally, and I forgive everybody else, and I offer unconditional love to everyone. This immediately opens your heart, and you feel the love flowing for everyone.
And does the content of the guilt itself matter, or is it the emotion that's tied with it that we need to alleviate and destroy?
Content is not, could be anything, right? But it's the emotional component that ties you. Once you remove the emotional component, by removing the emotional component doesn't mean that you have erased it from the memory. It is not. You still remember those things, but there'll be no emotional component left.
Right.
You will remember that, oh, this person did that to me.
Yeah.
But I don't feel bad about it anymore.
Yeah.
So the emotional component is gone. Memory is still there.
Yeah.
The content is still there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I have removed the emotional component and freed myself.
What are the three gunas, and what is the significance of them? What is nirguna specifically is what I wanted you to touch on.
Sure. So three gunas as described by scriptures are tamoguna, rajoguna, and satoguna. So it is, whether it's our actions, it could be our food, could be anything. We are governed by these three gunas all the time. Tamoguna is a very negative, the most negative kind of qualities. Guna means qualities, right? So tamoguna means anger, hatred, jealousy, violence, non-forgiveness. So these are all tamogunas. And then if you rise above them, you come to the rajoguna. Rajoguna is of ego. Rajo, as the name suggests, Raja means come from like a king. Good food, good life, and all those things that are satisfies my ego, brings me a name, makes me happy, good food. So these are rajogunas. And then come the third one is the satoguna, which are spirituality and inclination towards, God, inclination towards knowing the universe, knowing myself, who I am, and working on myself, my growth and everything. But there are still these binding forces. They are binding us. And at any given time, everybody has all the three gunas. They're in a different mix, that's all. Sometimes the tamo gunas are higher, rajo and sattva gunas are lesser, and vice versa. And your life goes on with caught in these three gunas. And as long as you are within three gunas, you are doing the act of karma. You're getting tied with every karma that you do. And our goal, eventually in spirituality, in Brhamanda Yoga, is to become nirguna. Nirguna means no qualities. You rise above the tamoguna, rajoguna, and satoguna. And you can achieve that state in your sadhana, in your meditation. When you rise above these three gunas, nirgunas, then you are not doing any act of karma. You have freed yourself from these three gunas and you have risen to. That's why one of the qualities ascribed to God is nirguna. We call them nirguna, nirakar. Nirakar means which has no shape or form. Nirguna means without any, the three qualities of rajoguna, tamoguna, or satoguna. So when you are rising above these three gunas, you are getting closer and closer to that higher self. So, and our goal is not only just to be in that state of sadhana, but prolong that state as much as possible. And that's when you reach that state of higher in sadhana, and you feel that you are not bound by any of these bondages of the three kinds of gunas. And you feel that immense peace.
Yeah, like in the Turiya state, you're kind of like experiencing that firsthand, right?
Yeah.
So Sanjeevji, I think this question ties in to what we just spoke about, the qualities. Can God be upset with us or feel emotional towards us, upset or happy with us?
That's a good question. And you hear this all over. And no offense meant to anybody spiritual or religious or anything. It is common to say, God is not happy with me. Because, and not only that, forgive me for saying this, a lot of these spiritual or religious leaders, they've tied you in that, if you don't do this, God will be upset with you.
Oh, yeah.
God will punish you. And if you do this, God will be happy with you. You come to the temple, to the church, every week, give some donations or do some work here, God will be happy with you. And if not do that, God will punish you. It is there in every religion. And that's when you ask somebody, in India it happens a lot. I'm going to the temple. People are going on Monday, Shiva temple. And to the Tuesdays going this temple, Friday to this temple, Saturday the Saturn temple, the Shani temple, trying to make God happy. And now by saying this, we're trying to say that God is like you and me, a human being who can be happy and upset. Means that he is tied with these three gunas, tamoguna, satoguna, rajoguna. When we say his nirguna, he is that state of bliss.
Right.
Bliss doesn't have an opposite. Happy can be sorrow, angry can be, this. You can have an opposite. But when you are in that state yourself, or God exists in that state of bliss, how can there be happy and upset components or qualities attached to God?
It's almost like an insult.
It's not, I will not say insult. Because again, like we have compassion. We do, again, when I'm saying we don't judge anybody, we're not judging. It's first of all, a lot of time is lack of understanding,
Right.
lack of wisdom. And again, like sometimes, many times, misled by leaders. Because this is how many of the faiths survive, on the basis of reward and punishment. If you do this, God will be happy. If you don't do this, God will be unhappy. He will punish you. So we are caught into this circle. And that's why we say when we connect to that higher one in our sadhana, we experience the same bliss that he is in the constant state of. Then there's no question of God judging you. That means God is judging you and me. That's human. We've been talking about in this podcast about being non-judgmental.
Yeah. Yeah.
We are trying to be that, whereas he is already that.
Sanjeevji, I always see you wearing one. You also gifted me one. What is the significance of the Rudraksha malas that we wear?
Big significance, It is like a supportive tool for us. First of all, if you know, understand the meaning, Rudraksh means it's made of this word. Rudraksh is made of two words, Rudra and Aksh. Rudra is the form of Shiva. Aksh is a deer. It is said, it is all symbolic, that there was a time when Shiva was in deep state of meditation.
Mm-hmm.
In a state of bliss, a tear rolled down his eye and it fell to earth and became the seed of Rudraksh. And scientifically, if you look at Rudraksh, it is one of perhaps the only known natural thing, the seed of Rudraksh, which constantly gives a positive vibrations at all times. So if you wear it, touching your skin, you will always get positive vibrations. That's why we recommend that you should wear Rudraksh. If you see many saints, who are in a higher level, you will find them wearing Rudraksh at all the energy mediums. They will have it around their wrists. They will have it around the ear. They will have it around the ear. They will have it, like all the energy mediums will be wearing Rudraksh. And also, Rudraksh comes in different shapes, called by the number of faces. And people would ask, okay, which one should I wear? So every Rudraksh has a significance, but it is safe to wear the five-faced Rudraksh. It is, you don't need to ask anybody. You don't need to check with anybody. Make sure it's a good quality one, it's original. And just wear that. And it's not expensive either.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas other Rudrakshas, they have energies of some particular kind, which you may or may not need, because one of the most common Rudraksha that people talk about is one-faced Rudraksha. And people will give any amount of money to buy an original one, and they wear it. And then they regret it. Because the one-faced Rudraksha gives the energy of renunciation, leaving this world. Now, all of a sudden, he wears a one-faced Rudraksha, living in a family life. He wants to run away from the family. So what good is it going to do to them? So for those, any other Rudrakshas, ask a guru. But even if you don't want to ask or don't have anybody to ask, wear five-faced Rudraksha. The cheapest, easy to get, and just as beneficial. So this is what we recommend from Brhamanda Yoga perspective, that if possible, yes, wear Rudraksha at all times.
So the five-faced Rudraksha would have just like a broad benefit. Sanjeevji, what does Jiva Atma mean, and what is its significance?
So, Atman is the soul, means the soul. Now, as the scriptures describe, and that's what we kind of, follow in Brahmana Yoga as well, because we follow everything that is there in the ancient scriptures. Before we go to Jivatma, first let's understand our existence as five bodies. Right? We have five bodies. Annamaya kosha, pranamaya kosha, manomaya kosha, jnanamaya kosha, and anandamaya kosha, the five bodies. First body being made of food, second is made of prana, third is made of mind, thoughts, emotions. Fourth is the subconscious mind, the causal body, where everything is stored. Fifth is the bliss body. And now this bliss body is a link between your all your five bodies or your first four bodies with your soul or your jivatma. Atma is again the soul, but then we put a tag, jiv, along with it, because that form of soul still thinks that it's not a soul. And where does it exist? In our scriptures, it described jivatma lives as a flame the size of your thumb in the cavity of your heart. And that is always illuminated. Jivatma. And this is the jivatma. When a person dies, it leaves the body. And that's why, because it carries with it the fourth, the fifth body, and all the karmic influences. So it's still in a confusion state. It still doesn't know its true existence. That's why the jivatma never understand that this body is gone, it's over. And it tries to enter back the body, but the body is not there. It cannot do that. Unless the person has worked very hard in the sadhana, doing the sadhana and understanding. So this jivatma is the one that does the journey onwards. And then there is another higher self, yourself, which we call in our scriptures is the Nil Purush, which is the blue form, your soul, Atman, which resides in your pineal gland. And that's why pineal gland, as we've seen, a huge amount of interest, people knowing about the pineal gland.
Right, yeah.
Within the pineal, that's why it's so much significance, that my higher self, my Nil Purush, resides within my pineal gland. And in our sadhanas, that's what we do. What we do, as you've seen, we unify the five bodies, then we connect these five bodies to my jivatma, and then I make a connection to my Nil Purush in my pineal gland, and then I rise above and connect to the highest one up in the universe. So this is a unification that we follow, we have seen it. And it's so significant that it leads to a very high state of dhyana, this Turiya, where you release a lot of negative karmic events and create a great future for yourself. Tum chahte ho, what is it that you want?
Right. No, great explanation. Now, Sanjeevji, is it possible for us to change someone else's karma? And if so, or if not, why should we refrain or shouldn't we refrain from doing so?
A great question. This is what we are trying to do, most of us, right? Trying to change everybody. But our first step in Brhamanda Yoga is that bring the focus back onto yourself. The problem with changing other people's karma is that there is this concept, which is a real concept, of cause and effect. A person does some kind of a karma and is facing the outcome now. Suffering, pain, losses. So whether you try to change it in a good way or a bad way, there is the current flowing between cause and effect, karma and the outcome. Now you're putting your finger into this. There's a current flowing. What's going to happen? You get electrocuted.
Yeah.
So you become now a part of the karmic outcome and the suffering. You will bring suffering in your life. And again, you're trying to change in a good way or a bad way other people because you have lost focus on your own self. The day I bring the focus on myself and I stop judging everybody, I'm judging other person first. That's why I'm trying to change their karma. And we've already touched upon this, that I'm not supposed to judge anybody or anything.
Yeah.
My focus on myself, my own karma, past, present,
Yeah.
release the past karma, make now my present karma, good one, and create a great future for myself. So it is about accepting everybody the way they are. That everybody has come with a soul agenda. If a person is doing certain kind of a karma, he came to do that. So don't interfere. Focus on your own. The day you bring your focus back to yourself, your life will automatically change and you will have a spiritual growth.
And then really quick, there's also people who interfere with people's karma with black magic as well, right? And that is that a real phenomena?
That's even worse. And let's not get it, because there are people of all kinds. Again, we are not going to judge them either, right?
Of course, yeah.
So we just have compassion for them and we pray that with the grace of God, grace of Shiva, they may find the light, they may find the truth, the wisdom, and stop from committing these kind of actions. So our heart goes out to them, unconditional love for them as well.
Thank you, Sanjeevji. And finally, the last thing I wanted to ask you was we've had a lot of comments coming in from people saying that, they really want to start learning Brhamanda Yog, right? And I was wondering if you can, are you going to be starting some kind of maybe a webinar or workshop or something of the sort?
So I'm very happy to announce that we're going to do our very first workshop.
Nice.
On May the 11th. And it will be 10 a.m. EST time and 7:30 p.m., I think, Indian Standard Time. Yeah. It'll be for 2.5 hours. It'll be in the format of webinar.
Wow.
And people will have to register for it. And all that we have talked so far in our podcast and our videos, the significant parts of those will be helping people experience them. Because a lot of people have shown an interest. So before even we go towards about somebody being learning more of that, the process of Brahma Yoga,
Yeah.
we want everybody to have an experience first.
Yeah.
That what is the experience of Brahma Yoga? So far, people have heard words of wisdom and gained some knowledge, insight. But all that wisdom knowledge is useless unless they get to experience it.
Yeah.
So this workshop will help people experience these significant, what you call qualities of Brahmanda Yoga.
Because theory can only take us so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. I'm also very excited because people have been asking for a long time. And finally, we have come out with a date and a time.
Yeah.
And we'll be announcing and opening the registration pretty soon.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thank you, Sanjeevji.
Bless you. To watch our previous podcasts, click here.